This is a continuation of chapter 7. This is Dr. Justina Agnieszka Chevalier. Like I've mentioned, so to answer the questions, how many camels for my bride, or how many cows for my groom, to answer that question often expressed is a doubt. Does this mean taking away lives of these to prove self, or does this mean actually provision of food and safety in harmony to enable stressless relationship because the area is prepared? To answer this is simple. Is couple mandatory based on forcefulness as a state to pursue housing, basic needs, and pursue employment as status? If such is the case, then couples are often illicit, and we talk about the formalization of rape and prevention of relationship, and that creates potent instinct of destruction present in Second World War between Adolf Hitler, Eva Braun, and many other couples that actually tired of provision of leadership, of goods for all others, childless actually, and trying to do their best, resulted to being unable emotionally to feel empathy anymore, wiping out whoever they were working for in concentration camps, recording that on videos, gloating, crying, or feeling sexual arousal from that, which is some consider close to ecstasy, because of a perception that the obstacle finally from having home and having a child for that couple was gone. And that is when we expect from some couples to work, while other couples expect to be provided for and seek, for instance, excuses to do so. And that is not okay to do and needs to be realized. The difference between a bodily painting, or like in India, for instance, tattooed hands or dot on the head, and a cow that has the same markings, or a male having piercings on face or piercings of names that are permanent, unlike a cow that belongs to a herd and is killed, is one from the bigger picture. How much is unnecessarily having at least a window of opportunity to not consume, not kill, not torture, non-rape for consumption in other species and same species, which then makes humans enter that group insanity present in many cultures, not only Nazi Germany, not only eugenics, but also in many countries of ancient times, like Rome and Greece, like I've mentioned, and those cultures like Atlantis that collapsed probably as well. And that is because of what I said, normalization of death of some and itemization of life. And so what does this mean? It means non-selective survival, when state of fight or flight enters into a group, which is a proper role adaptation of a group psychosis, is, for example, approaching meteorites, or a flood, or fire, and persons all, or for instance, planting or plants to feed animals and humans alike, provide those even who develop adaptation mechanisms to kill, and alike dog in freedom, supplementing nutrition to in ingenuity help even a spider, for instance, not kill flies, even fly not be infected and carrier of virus, and breaking that cycle of death and life, because if not, there is that apathy typical to Sartre and many other cultures, apathy in which why would I want to have and burden a loved person with a child, knowing that that child, because of how the system is predestined to be dead? Wouldn't that be a disfavor to a son or a daughter to be born at all? Many philosophers ask that question, and the answer is it depends on the level of awareness adapted in every day, and that level of awareness put into practice prior, like prevention of, for instance, flood, like a cementing of community to prevent fires, without marking anyone as weaker when that is not the case, and without ignoring also anyone as being in active pain and not worthy help, regardless of what that person's past or state is. Because we need to know, instinct to kill is an expression of hurt of such degree that it is actually defined as torture. And that is in humans and in animals, and poorly understood. Like I mentioned before, there are vectors to emotions, and we need to know the failure, especially of a trained defense specialist or a soldier or a doctor, is to assume evil intention in absence of such, and in presence of such, stop looking for remediation in suffering in species on behalf of which that person, being in possession of such empirical experience, is acting out to alleviate suffering, and without trying to evade injuries, to prevent that person's luxury of goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Luxury of goodness is something that comes from early years of upbringing. And being able to be good is not something that is reserved for the extraordinary, like the Buddhism says, or to the saints that then we crucified in Jewish, present in the Bible, envy. Unfair one, because how it is that my Godfather is worse than God, being present and providing in person, while the other one is voice who never appeared. And so that is when the mental health lashes out, and lashes out in no righteousness, because it that violates actually the humanism and oath, and we should not ever perceive enlightenment as an acting on another human what is being done for that human, such as an innocent female, to a chicken or to a cow, which means rape and torture. That is abnormal, and it does not purchase desire, nor it actually burns out past harm, because it actually perpetuates harm, and we have choice. And that choice is awareness of own instincts, awareness of all of the other person's instincts and manifestations, and appropriate remediation of things that does not assume, but when declared, wolf will come and ask for food. The same is with humans. Humans ask, and it is medical service when person screams, please help, I am in pain. And it is this service to attack a person with syringe or force medication on chronic basis, as it is often done in elders, for instance, or adolescents, because that is harm called iatrogenia, and it is penalized in legal system under penal code with imprisonment and the death penalty, especially in police officers, paramedics, and under license, as well as in caregivers. So we need to know a person in pain needs to obtain attention when we are licensed and when we have such choice. A person who is not in pain and screams, please do not harm me with medication, do not attack me, and do not force on me, for instance, life-saving support that is invasive or any sort of lockup. And you can ask what it is that I can do for you, because I can see your feet bleed, for instance. And that person will tell you, how about you, for example, enable me to obtain a bank account without an expectation of 2 identity cards, and then blocking placement of fee by online payment only, which is a vicious circle that law ignores. And that is what human rights activism, ladies and gentlemen, because one of the policemen acts as if he doesn't know, consists of removing of those glitches and obstacles from persons, instead of condescension of help, to then afford being loved and unsure if own spouse or strangers love person more, while working and performing duties that are resolved by persistence in action, and also in resolving glitches in teams, delegating to such, not by sitting and gloating because one looks nice in a suit or a uniform, because that is then actually impeding in that area legal services, impeding in a given area medical services, impeding and giving bad fame to police force and paramedics. How many camels will die if I have a child? The answer is, do you realize that if they are in danger and in the same area as you are facing starvation? And if you are not, you will be sick and you will be attacked by plagues and die of obesity and need organ transplants and accident yourselves, because even if a docile animal offers, touched by love of someone else, there are others that care for that animals of same or different species. Unlike a cycle of parasitosis, for instance, it takes targeting a pig to ingest that oocyte and trapped in that meat, and have that then as a cyst in a muscle or a brain, and have a need for surgery. So think, instead of albendazole, perhaps it is better to actually not kill these pigs, not torture them outside, and actually think killing those animals indeed kills humans in the same area, or delegating, which many do so, demonizing the United States as the bad force. That is not okay to accept, because offering death is not goodness if that causes loss to I and whoever cares for. And inflicting purposefully then pain does not remediate that loss actually, even if there is resentment. And it is not stupidity of females especially, but it is actually an awareness of the fact that that pain is being inflicted to afford death, offering to others services that no one else wants to do, not knowing how interconnected we are. Unlike circulating planets, in fact, very often so. How many camels for my bride? None. How much a baby costs? Nothing. Next chapter is money. Chapter 8 is entitled Money. How to buy health and life earned with own work, money, and stop working for your own death or death of loved ones. A concept of non-killing lifestyle. Money is an intermediary. If that intermediary does not afford us time to push progress so that all living beings, even trees, are afforded in empathy to stay alive because of the life conditions and happiness of a given area, and all of species, game, pest, and farm are as loved as in freedom dogs as opposed to mutilated animals, and the same enacted in humans. Money permits luxury to afford that, and not placing a price on a human life or on a life of an animal, because $5 for a chick then is $500 of a ransom for a prisoner trapped under the light of law for a ticket or a warning by an over-eager new policeman. And that is notorious and creates then purposelessness in persons, because enough with one crow, enough with one antelope who is free and freely lives and has a house, and it reduces all of us humans beneath that level, ladies and gentlemen, beneath a level of being part of the ecosystem and in self-destruction, unaware of that. gloating in bouts. What is it good for that for 5 minutes you feel superior, if in next 5 minutes you'll be hated or feel sorry for a lost friendship about? Money is the next chapter, chapter 8, and then I will talk about the no's and prohibition, how to become a yes society and solve problems as opposed to use skills to obstruct progress. Thank you.